Thousands of retailers in America begin rejecting paper cash. News Punch, Sean Al-Tabai reports. This is from Zero Hedge as well. And thousands of retailers throughout the US and UK as well have begun banning paper cash in favor of cashless digital transactions. The worrying trend is being justified by major corporations as a faster, more effective, and safer way for store employees to serve their customers. InfoWars reports, "We think not, and unfortunately the trend of cash not welcome here establishments is growing to the point that lawmakers are beginning to take note and could introduce legislation barring the practice, as Massachusetts has done already and as New Jersey State House could be set next to do." According to the Federal Reserve survey conducted in 2017, cited in the Wall Street Journal, cash represents 30% of all transactions in America, with 55% of those being under $10. Regardless of the Americans' longtime preference for plastic in most transactions, many of which take place online, research by the Federal Reserve found that cash is still king in terms of America's daily lives and usage, and as the study concluded further, this remains true across all income levels. Not only is cash used frequently for small value and in-person purchases, it's also used by a wide array of consumers. The data on cash use by household income provides two main insights. First, consumers make on average 14 cash transactions a month, regardless of household income, and it's also noteworthy that cash was the most or the second most used payment instrument regardless of household income, indicating that its value to consumers as a payment instrument was not limited to lower income houses that may be less likely to have access to an account at a financial institution. But this reality is now pushing up against a new trend of the cashless restaurant, bar, and retailer, and treating awkward and frustrating situations for consumers as well as the new Wall Street Journal piece chronicles. In one scenario, a customer had to intervene on another's behalf and play personal bank for a card-only salon, even though there was plenty of cash on hand offered by a woman who could not pay. Ironically, as the Wall Street Journal story notes, this created an emergency, quote-unquote. Sam Schreiber was mid-shampoo at a dry bar blow-dry salon in Los Angeles when someone from the front desk approached her stylist with an emergency. A woman was trying to pay for her blowout with cash. Quote, "There was this beat of silence," says Schreiber, 33 years old. "She literally brought $40. More and more businesses like Dry Bar don't want your money. The paper, the kind that is. It's making things awkward for those who come ill-prepared. After all, you can't give back a hairdo, an already dressed salad, or the 2 beers you already drank." And in another situation where someone simply wanted to order a salad but was refused upon presenting $20 in cash, the rejected customer slammed the policy that created the whole awkward situation as elitist. The customer recounted for Wall Street Journal. "It's almost like when your credit card gets declined for silly reasons," says Benton, who works as an event planner. "It makes you feel like you can't afford it even though I had the money right there." Benton has no plans of going back. "It feels very elitist," she says. Now, another anecdote involving a 51-year-old woman left feeling humiliated at a Manhattan restaurant. Though the eatery proudly advertises that its food comes from farmers and partners as close to home as possible, it apparently rejects your local cash. Again, another customer had to intervene as essentially an impromptu bank after a deeply awkward situation. So this is going on all the time. But it's getting noticed by local and state governments. New York City Councilman Richie Torres of Bronx recently proposed legislation that would prohibit retailers and restaurants from refusing cash. And city council members in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia have proposed similar legislation, according to the Wall Street Journal. Councilman Torres said, "I refuse to patronize businesses that reject cash payments, even though I primarily use debit or credit." And he explained the practice is discriminatory against the undocumented, people without bank accounts and credit cards, and those who wish to have their transactions be more private, all of which can create an unnecessary and humiliating situation. And increasingly, it creates situations where a patron simply cannot complete the transaction or make the purchase. And this could most impact the young and low-income homes, which are limited in terms of local bank and checking debit card account access. So, though we're unlikely to even reach a totally cashless society, the disturbing trend does bring up interesting questions of privacy and transaction off the grid, like those advocating for a no-cash future will be the same ones pushing for greater surveillance power of the state, as is quickly happening right now in places like China, where its Orwellian, quote, social credit system, end quote, seems to abolish any and all private transactions altogether. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.